but still. Are you recording right now? Oh my gosh!
That's hilarious.
Happy Friday, guys. What is this, number 104?
104, 105, somewhere in there. I don't know.
We'll get back to you on that. Conversation Corner, 104, I think.
Yeah.
So, hey, guys, we want to talk to you a little bit today about the difference between listing with an agent for sale by owner. A lot of people who look in for sale by owner, you know, they have good intentions, wanting to save a little bit of cash, obviously, for doing that. I'm going to kind of run with this one. Even though I got the expert sitting right next to me, I have a little bit of knowledge on this too, because I do a lot of for sale by owner transactions. I get a lot of people who find my information or get referred me from other friends, and, you know, they have sweetheart deals, or they're buying the house that they currently rent, and they're doing that as a for sale by owner, right? So good news for the buyer, bad news for the seller. So out of the last 10 for sale by owner transactions I've done, specifically speaking, there's been an average above purchase price, above sale price, when the appraisals come back, of about $7,000 that the sellers, one of them was 15 grand.
But they wanted to save commission, Levi.
That's right.
You know?
So I've seen a ton of this, guys. You know, people think they have an idea of what's going on in the market, but they don't really understand the peak traffic, that it is a seller's market, and the competition and things that are going on. I mean, they don't do this professionally, right? That's what we have agents for. They do this for a living every single day. So in these examples, these sellers missed out on a lot of extra cash. I mean, it was definitely good news for my buyers, right? They're buying houses with instant equity, but the sellers left a lot of cash on the table. There's other examples too where we bought a couple houses, a few rental properties in Benson. Both were listed by agents who didn't do a lot of transactions, and they weren't maybe a full-time agent, I would say, with respect to them. But in that also, you lose a lot of experience. If you're not out there pounding the pavement doing transactions every month, you know, you're not in the mix and don't really understand what's going on in the market. Both of those properties that we purchased, again, to our benefit, appraised high. They were underlisted. So, you know, one of the things to look out for sure, there's always a benefit to using a real estate agent, guys. If you're thinking about doing for sale by owner, look up some statistics. They speak for themselves. There's a ton of information online on why it's so much better to use a realtor who is a professional. This is what they do for their living. It makes sense to have someone in your corner to help negotiate for your best interests, and also to make sure that legally you are represented to the best of your ability.
Man, I'm glad that all came from him, because I preach that on a consistent basis, and I think a lot of people think that I'm in it to try to get a transaction or whatever, what the case is, but that's not the truth, at least for me. I always want to educate. In fact, I've worked with numerous people that want to try for sale by owner at first, and they're like, you know what, we appreciate your time and everything, we're going to try for sale by owner, and then if we can't get it sold, we'll give you a call. 80%, I think the statistic is right, 80% of for sale by owners end up using an agent anyway. That's just the statistic out there, and it's true because their house usually sits longer. A lot of times they don't want to pay a commission. But what you fail to see through that, at least from my side of things and what I try to convey to someone, is you never want your house to sit long periods of time, especially in this market, because a lot of people look at that as a negative thing. Why isn't the house selling? What are they hiding? Do they not want to work with us as far as making repairs or whatever the case is? And that deters a lot of buyers from the property. So what I always like to tell people is like, hey, try to sell the property yourself, and if you can't sell it within 2 weeks, give me a call, and then we'll get it listed and we'll get your house sold. Now again, there's no guarantee as far as everything is different, and it depends on condition, location, the price, all that kind of stuff. But I think what we can offer is that expertise in what do you need to do to get your house ready to list and to show, because there's a lot of people that will throw up their house on the market, and then they go and take pictures with like a crappy camera,
photographer, and the iPhone or something,
which doesn't turn out very well. That's why I bring in a professional photographer to do that, because I want my pictures to look good, and I want them to entice a buyer to step foot in your house. I don't know where else I was going with this.
I got some stats. So statistically speaking, guys, it's you're not only are you going to net more, but your house is going to sell much faster if you're utilizing a real estate agent. So I was just pulling up some info here. So statistically speaking, using a realtor would net you 23% higher than if you did it for sale by owner. By the most recent statistics, average home sold by a realtor 215,000. Average home sold by owner 174,900. So 23% difference there. Time on market, an agent statistically is going to sell your house 22% faster than if you listed for sale by owner. Average days on market for a realtor 69. Average days on market for sale by owner 88. So wow, so we're almost a full 20 days more.
That's crazy.
Not only that, another thing, kind of stress, right? You're dealing with stress. You're dealing with a process you probably don't understand. Even if you've been through a couple seasons of buying and selling houses, and you have a general grasp on things, it goes back to, stick to your wheelhouse and let somebody also stick to their wheelhouse who's a professional and it's what they know. Yeah. And to Ryan's comment, it's not like, oh, hey, call him today to list your house. If you guys have an agent that you know or who's a friend of yours and you've been thinking about giving them a call, give them a call. If you don't have an agent, obviously, Ryan would love to hear from you, or you can call me as well. But go to a professional, consult a professional, interview a couple agents if you'd like to get some alternative opinions. But statistically speaking, it's going to make much more dollars for you.
Yeah, I mean, a story. So I'll tell two stories, and then I know you've got some stories.
Yeah.
And a story with mine was previously when working with one is she worked for a title company for like years, and so she thought that she could sell her house. She knew what she was doing, all this stuff. Well, I get a phone call a couple weeks later, and she's like, "Okay, you know what? This isn't as easy as I thought it would be, even knowing everything that went into it." And I don't want to deal with it anymore. And so she called me. We ended up listing her house. We get it sold. And so even that, told me that, like, there's people that have even been in the business, not necessarily like with real estate, but she had been doing title stuff and title work for years and thought she could do it. And then she realized she couldn't. Now, are there the stories where somebody throws up their house and it sells in a day and it goes smoothly? Yes, there are those stories. For the majority of the stories, though, I think there's a lot of people that end up calling me later or end up telling me the horror stories that they went through when working with that buyer, whatever. The problem is you don't have someone representing you. A lot of times, for sale by owner, doesn't want to pay out an agent, and so they end up working with somebody else that doesn't have an agent, and then they start going back and forth with the contract. And then my question to them is what happens if something goes wrong?
Then they lean on the title and escrow company, and then it becomes this issue because that's not what they're there for. That's not their role, is to mediate, or to represent the best. They're supposed to be the unbiased party in the transaction. So it becomes more challenging for everyone involved.
Yep, I agree. And then the last story I actually got, this actually happened like a month ago. I got a call back from a friend, and he was like, "Hey, I need an attorney. Something went down," and I was like, "Hold up, I don't think this should go on in text. I need to give you a phone call." And we ended up talking, and basically he was sharing with me that his friends had bought a house for sale by owner. They'd closed on it, and they weren't represented by an agent on either side, and then found out as they were going to replace some carpet, some flooring and stuff, that they started ripping apart the floorboards and the what's it called, the trim and everything, and there was urine in the drywall, in the floorboards. It ended up being like $30,000+ of repairs that needed to be done, and they're like, "We've already closed on this property, and now we've got to go to court with these people because they didn't disclose any of that information. They tried to hide it, obviously, and now you're paying money to go to court." And then it's going to take months to get that money back, but yet you've still got a $30,000 problem that obviously needs to get fixed so you can live there. And so again, it blows my mind how many people will buy a house and not use an agent to represent them. Because if that happens here, we've got an attorney in-house. I go down and I talk to him. I'm like, here's the situation. This is probably going to go to court. Let's get this process started.
Yeah.
And so he kind of guides and directs us as far as what we're going to be doing, how we're going to go about doing it. If it can be handled in small claims court, great. If not, if it's something bigger like this, you're probably going to court and you're dealing with that situation. But it helps to have people on your side as opposed to we're going through this on our own and this sucks.
And I think
so. I'm gonna let you take over.
No, you're right. You made me think of. I think that was a really good point, and it made me think of something that people probably don't understand is when you're hiring a real estate agent, you're not just hiring a real estate agent. You're hiring their team and their infrastructure. It's not just it's Ryan Potter. It's Ryan Potter with Berkshire Hathaway. It's Potter Group. It's Allie. It's maybe me as well, and everything that comes along with it. His referral network. Also, agents have E&O insurance. They also have, like he said, most places have attorneys on staff. He's going to be able to go talk to his broker at any moment to discuss issues, contract things, back and forth like that. So it's not just, hey, it's just Ryan who's doing all this. It's everything he has at his disposal. He's going to utilize to make sure that you're represented within your best interests.
Right on.
Totally.
So what do you got? I mean, I'm sure you see stuff from the lending side all the time,
big
right?
time. So, I mean, in addition to the value discrepancies that I touched on earlier, so there's, you name it, I've seen it. For sale by owner transactions where, touching on the lack of contracts and the lack of things being set in stone, time frames, stuff like that. As a seller, a lot of times there's a lot of stuff that goes into a process that the agent's handling on the back end that people don't see. Their team's going to work to make sure that pest inspections are getting ordered, whether they need to do radon, home inspections, that the buyers are the prospective buyer of the house that they're listing is they're working with that agent to make sure that all the time frames are met. That's one of the biggest challenges. On this most recent for sale by owner that I did, we didn't have any real time frame set in stone. Both the seller and the buyer were on.
Wait, hold up. So there's no closing date?
No, there was no set closing date. We had talked about it, right? We talked about the date that we wanted it to be, but they were amicable together.
Okay.
They were friends, so it was kind of this thing, hey, let's just work through the process kind of at our leisure and get things done. Well, the seller thought that might be maybe 30, maybe 40 days, right? But the buyer took advantage of that and ended up being in the house rent-free for almost 65 days. And now it became a stressful issue for the seller, and they were leaning on me because they didn't have an agent to represent them. So she was calling me, and I'm saying, hey, I'm trying to kick my buyer in the butt and tell him we need to get this stuff together, but there's no time frame set in stone that are legally making them obligated to do these things. So it's just kind of at their leisure, which was a terrible situation for them because they had some debts and things that they had to pay off, which is what they were using the money for. That wasn't communicated initially. Another thing that an agent would have uncovered through the process is finding out, hey, we need this money by this time because my client needs to pay some things off. So there's tons of stories like that, guys. It's much easier, I promise you. You might think you're going to save, $2,000-$3,000, whatever it is. At the end of the day, an agent statistically is going to net you more, and they're going to save you more time and a lot more headache. So,
amen to that.
Use an agent.
And I think we were talking about this in a mastermind group just this last week too, and we were talking about not only that but the competition between. So a lot of times when you go to be a for sale by owner and you've been on the market for a while, you get phone calls from agents all the time, and unfortunately, a lot of those phone calls are like, hey, I'll list your house for 3.5%. I'll list it for 4%, 4.5%. Here's the problem with that too is, again, we understand you're trying to save money, but the question that I always ask them is, is it about saving money or is it about the value that you're going to get from using me as an agent? Because if you go with a 4%, 4.5% agent, that's the type of value that you're going to get from it. And usually the marketing isn't as good. Usually the agent isn't as good. Usually they're not utilizing their resources. They're not doing everything they can to leverage to get as much traffic and eyeballs on your property that they possibly can, because they're paying out, and they still have to pay out a buyer's agent if that buyer's agent comes. So a lot of times in my mind, I'm like, I don't know how you even do it either, because I drop at times, you know, anywhere from $750 to $1,500 marketing the property.
Right.
You know, I don't care if it's a $150,000 house or a $450,000 house. I'm still spending money to get as many eyeballs on that property as I possibly can. So that's maybe a secret there if you start interviewing some agents as far as what's your marketing plan look like.
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to market my property? How are you going to get people in the door? And then how are we going to get our house sold? And what's that time frame in your opinion look like? Another question to ask is, you know, what do you foresee the list price to be, and what do you foresee the sale price to be? Because that can be completely different as well.
Sure.
You know, you can come in and say, well, the market's really hot right now. We can try listing at this, but you also have to be realistic in saying, but, you know, I've seen the houses that have sold in this area. Here's what they've sold for. So don't be surprised if we don't get any offers at this price point. You know, we might have to come back or do a price reduction here or there to get back down to some of those areas. But it, again, depends on condition and the upgrades and things you've done to your house as well. There's all these different things that go into it that I don't think a lot of people really think about until they sit down with an agent. So what I'm going to do for you is this. I'm going to give you something for free if you're watching and you're thinking about listing your house. Allie and I have created a document which is basically some information as far as if you're thinking about listing your house for sale by owner versus owner or versus real estate agent, and what that means and what that looks like. I also have a document too that I'll end up sharing with you as well, which is going to be some of the things that you need to know before getting your house on the market and listed. So we might make a list of 5 to 10 things here that you can do to get your house show ready.
Oh, that's good.
And get it going. So with that, how you're going to get that is you're going to message me your email address. That's all I need. Just give me your email address. I'll follow up with you. I'll send you that PDF for free. You can have that. You can look it over. You can use it however you want. And you can go from there. But I want to offer you guys that, not again to try to sell myself or whatever, but to give you some things as far as some material to look at, to weigh the options, because a lot of times that's the conversation we have is, you know, I don't want to pay an agent. Well, okay, well, if we break down the numbers and your house sits on the market for 3 months before you hire an agent, you basically just let your house sit on the market for 3 months. You paid another 3 months of a mortgage, and that's almost the difference that you're probably going to pay a commission that you would have used to use an agent. But some people don't think that way. So those are the types of conversations and things you want to have when going forward with that. So anyways, wanted to offer that to you guys. Levi, if you have anything else
any comments,
out there,
questions? No
comments or questions. Man,
I know.
But it's all
me a Coke.
Yeah, it's all good.
One thing we need to
I will buy you a Coke whenever you want.
One thing we need to touch on is the our Q&A.
Yes.
Our Q&A.
Yeah. So Levi, why don't you, I've been talking about.
Actually,
so why don't
what's the date? I
you
forgot
take
the
that
date.
off. We will get you the date. It's in March.
Okay.
I believe it's like March. It's the second week of March, I believe.
Are we doing? We're doing a Wednesday, right?
Yes, it's going to be on a Wednesday. I think we decided 2:30 to 3 o'clock. We'll get that date to you. Maybe Levi's going to look it up here.
I want to say I think it's the 7th.
Okay.
Right? Was it the
that
7th?
might work. No, I get back from San Antonio on the 7th. So it's 14th.
Okay.
14th, mark your calendars.
March 14th.
What we're doing is we're going to open that up to you guys
Yes.
to ask questions
Q&A sesh
for us. So instead of you having to come in to the place and sit down with us and watch a seminar or do whatever, and for us to just talk about nonsense, we want to basically open up the floor for you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a live, and we're going to answer any questions that you guys have regarding real estate, the lending side, that type of thing. So mark your calendars. March 14th, 2:30.
2 to 3. 2:30 to 3.
Yep. And we're going to just give you 30 minutes to kind of comment, ask questions as it relates to... I mean, shoot, you can ask us anything you want.
Well, not quite.
If you want to know what my favorite ice cream is, I might tell you that. If you want to know what my favorite restaurant is, I can tell you that too. But what we want to do is gear that more towards just moving into 2018. how we can be of service to you, answer any questions that you might have, and then go from there. So that's one thing we're going to get ready to do here. I mean, 2018 is going to be great. Allie's like, you guys are going. Somebody said something because I can see her face.
Matt Jaworski said.
Jaworski!
What's up, Matt?
TGIF, my dudes, with a thumbs up.
What up?
Oh, yeah. Love it.
I miss Mitch. I miss Mitch.
Come on, Mitch. Where you at? Anyways, that's what we're going to end up doing. We got some good stuff coming up. Levi and I sat down for lunch yesterday, and we kind of planned out some events for the year, some things that we're going to do for you guys. I mean, do we share some of those things? No? Yeah. All right. We don't share some of those things right now.
You got to tune in on the 14th.
That's right, for that. And if you're not following us on our social media platforms, do it. Because sometimes we share some valuable information on Snapchat, Instagram.
What's your handle? I'm at Levi Walkers with an S. Walkers.
At Levi Walkers.
Walkers.
Yeah. What's that for?
Everybody had at Levi Walker, so I just added the S. You know.
There's a lot of Levi Walkers.
Make it possessive. That's all.
Oh, hello. We got somebody calling in here. So, anyways, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, guys.
Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.